Madison leaders are thinking about future flooding as some communities to our west deal with the rain falling now.
And there's new data out about homicides connected to domestic violence, just as Madison police investigate the death of a mother of 5 as a murder-suicide.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Tuesday, October 2nd. Bit of a blech day yet again.
Yeah, a little bit, but not as bad as yesterday.
True.
It's true.
It rained all day yesterday
It did.
in Madison. It really did. We set a record for the amount of rainfall as well. Take a look, though, this morning. We're left with a little bit of fog. Visibility is about 1.5 miles in Platteville. Seen some improvement in the Dells, up to 2-mile visibility there. And in Madison, we're back to 8-mile visibility at the airport. No rain is falling, although there's still a little light mist here on the west side of town. We've also had some drizzle from time to time this morning. We will start to dry out today, but we're going to keep clouds through the day with highs in the low 60s. Some clearing is possible real late today. Otherwise, look at your traffic maps this morning. So far, it's been good. Keep in mind the roads may be a little wet, though, as you head out this morning. No accidents to report right now, though, which is great news. Looks like you're still traveling at posted speeds heading into the capital city. And that's your first alert traffic.
Pretty foggy out there, too. We could hardly see the Capitol this morning.
Yeah, a little bit of fog, so be careful for that.
Take it slow. All right. Thanks, Addie.
You're welcome.
So speaking of roads and the effect of this weather, we do want to start with that this morning. While there are more chances for rain tonight and through the week, yesterday's storms are already causing issues out on the roads. You're looking at water from the Platte River in Grant County covering parts of Highway 81. That road had to be shut down at the Ellenboro Bridge around 6:45 last night. It is still closed this morning, according to Grant County authorities. Those authorities say that people can still get to Ellenboro using Lancaster Road, but they do want drivers to be aware as water levels continue to change. We do have a full list of road closures in that area up on channel3000.com. Meanwhile, Madison alders will continue their conversations about August's deadly flooding later on today. FEMA officials spent last week assessing damage in Dane County and 17 other counties throughout the state. The state's already allocated $2 million to help businesses rebuild after this summer's weather as well. Council will discuss why flooding was so severe and what steps might be taken in the future to mitigate that. It will also amend the current budget to make sure there's enough money to cover stormwater and sewage maintenance during that extreme rain.
We are continuing to follow what police are calling a murder-suicide on Madison's east side over the weekend. Family members of the woman killed want to share her story in hopes of saving the next abuse victim.
I'm a victim of domestic violence. September 29, 2010, me and my sister were stabbed by my ex-boyfriend. I had a skull fracture, cracked rib, and my lungs collapsed. September 29, 2018, I lose my sister. Exactly 8 years.
That right there is Sherry Waller's sister. Police believe 39-year-old James Sykes shot and killed her before turning the gun on himself in a townhouse off East Washington Avenue. Waller's family says they didn't know it was an abusive relationship, but Waller did confide in one of her co-workers. Police say Sykes had previous domestic convictions and wasn't legally able to buy a gun. Waller's family says she was the mother of 5 children. 2 of them were home at the time of that shooting. There is a GoFundMe page set up for that family. It's already at more than $8,000 this morning, about $3,000 over the original goal. If you'd like to donate, we have a link to that GoFundMe over on our website, channel3000.com.
So this investigation comes as the group End Domestic Abuse Wisconsin releases its latest statistics on homicides. The organization revealed that report yesterday at the state capitol. According to those numbers, 62 people died as a result of domestic violence in 2017. That's actually down from 73 deaths in 2016, but it's still about 1 homicide every 6 days due to domestic violence here in the state. The group says the data does include perpetrators who kill themselves as a result of being part of those situations. Guns were used in 70% of domestic abuse-related homicides last year, and victims ranged in age from 1 to 88 years old.
UW's athletic department is doing its job to keep student athletes safe. That's according to a safety review released over the weekend. Athletic Director Barry Alvarez had ordered that review last year after sexual assault allegations surfaced over at Michigan State University. The report did identify some ways the UW could improve its practices. That includes more mental health resources for student athletes and a clearer protocol for reporting sexual assaults or harassment.
The World Dairy Expo starts today in Madison. It's a bit of a break for people in that industry who are dealing with record low milk prices, tariffs, and uncertainty with foreign markets.
The state is seeing the biggest loss of dairy farms since 2013. It's down more than 400 since the start of the year. Our Josh Spreiter is live this morning from the Alliant Energy Center with how this event is going to offer some positivity for our farmers. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. It's pretty impressive to see all of the people up and at 'em very early this morning. The setup is fantastic here. Officials here are excited. They're hoping for a better turnout than last year, when last year attendance at the Expo dropped by about 6,000, pushing total visitor numbers under 70,000 for the first time in 6 years. Officials tell me this is an important and crucial time for our farmers. They say the dairy industry has been struggling because many are dealing with an overwhelming amount of debt right now. Farmers are waiting for milk prices to bounce back after 3 straight years of record low levels. And organizers say that's what this week is all about, optimism.
That's the one thing within our control, the week of World Dairy Expo. We can't control the weather, we can't control milk prices, not only in the U.S. but also globally. We can't even control certain, political dynamics, but what we can control is the attitudes and the atmosphere that we have as hosts of this great event.
You can expect this year's Expo to include informational seminars on key issues for dairy farmers, competitions outside the cattle and trade shows, and social and business opportunities. The World Dairy Expo runs today through Saturday. Tickets are $12 a day and $35 for the week. And when we move on to 6:30, we'll have more on the economic impact of this. And ladies, it's been pretty impressive to see all of the cows here, and I was trying to count them, but I forgot my calculator, and photographer Mark Schilling started having a cow this morning. So
Josh is killing us with these bad puns. I can't.
Pretty cheesy, Josh. Pretty cheesy.
Slow clap for both of you. All right, our Josh Spreiter reporting for us this morning. Thanks, Josh.
6:07, almost your time this morning. And for those of you who could not take an extended lunch break yesterday, the Brewers do have a well-deserved day off today as they wait to see who they will face in the first round of the playoffs. The regular season all came down to one game at Wrigley yesterday afternoon against the Cubs. Brewers were the first to score, but the Cubs ended up tying it up. Then Milwaukee took control in the 8th with RBI singles from Lorenzo Cain and Ryan Braun. Christian Yelich had 3 hits to win the National League batting title. Final score 3-1 Brewers. Now Colorado plays the Cubs at Wrigley for the wild card game tonight. First pitch is 7 p.m. on ESPN. The winner of that game will face the Brewers in a best-of-5 series starting Thursday at Miller Park.
This is when the morning shift is awesome. Both you and I
know,
and our executive producer James all got to watch the game in our sweatpants on our couch.
Nice and warm.
Nap during the commercial breaks.
Yeah, it was great.
Perfect.
And it was certainly an exciting game. I mean, it came down to the bitter end there, and that's what you like to see from two rivals like that for sure.
Well deserved.
Yeah.
7 years.
And we'll see, they might be back facing off later this week. So.
All right. 6:08 your time now. There are more than 100,000 people living right here in Wisconsin who have Alzheimer's. That number is expected to rise exponentially over the next few decades. There is an event this weekend to help find a cure, or at the very least, better treatments for people facing this horrible diagnosis. We're going to share more after the break.
And it's probably another indoor activities kind of day. Hattie does expect the rain to clear out, but the clouds, they're not really going anywhere. Your forecast is next on News 3 this morning.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. Back to using the umbrella. We definitely have a drizzle here on the west side of town this morning. Everything is still wet. No rain coming down, though. And good news, we should start to dry out today. Boy, do we need to dry out. It has been a wet season and year so far. Here are the precipitation totals as of yesterday for the season. That's the fall season, including all of September into October. Normal precipitation by this point in the season, just about 3¼ inches of precipitation. We've had over 7½. And as you go back to the year, back to January 1, normal precipitation by this time in the year, 28 inches. We are over 43 inches, so well above normal for this time of the year. And the wet weather pattern is expected to continue right into next week. Flood bulletins are still in effect. It's an aerial flood warning for parts of Grant County, especially south of Highway 18, where there is some water over the roads. Keep in mind, never drive on a road that has water covering it. Your 24-hour precipitation estimate showing you a band of some pretty heavy rain over the last day. 1 to 3½ inches fell across parts of southern Wisconsin. We set a new daily record yesterday here in Madison, so officially the wettest start to October. Now, nothing showing up on Doppler track this morning. This mist and drizzle is just too light to be picked up by the radar, but keep that in mind. Roads are still wet this morning. Doppler track not showing you anything off to the north and west. Just a lot of clouds in the area early today, and it looks like we're going to keep those clouds today. Visibility has not been a huge issue here in Madison, but there has been some patchy fog for Platteville this morning. Visibility been pretty consistent between 1 and 2 miles there. It is 51 in Platteville, 51 as well here in Madison, 54 in Janesville. Winds are light this morning from the north, and they're going to stay pretty light through the day. So that's why we're kind of stuck with this cloud cover today. Take a look at future track. Just cloudy skies today with temperatures slowly climbing through the 50s. It will be a little warmer than it was yesterday with highs in the low 60s today. Keep in mind, this is 5:30 later on this afternoon. Start to see some breaks in those clouds, but that's just about an hour before the sun sets. So we're not expected to see much sunshine today. Now, overnight tonight, cloudy skies. Some rain chances are possible overnight, but our best chance comes later on Wednesday. Look at those temperatures, well into the 70s tomorrow before a cold front moves into the area. Rain amounts with that front likely to be anywhere from 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch. That extended forecast is up and down this week. 60s today, near 80 tomorrow, and then back into the low 60s on Thursday. We have some sun on Thursday, and that's about it. Chances for rain then Friday through the upcoming weekend. Now it's time to get a look at your First Alert traffic maps this morning with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, it's a quiet start so far on most of the roadways here in Madison, including on the Beltline. Everything is moving well so far, east and westbound with no issues. Checking out roads here in Dane County, there are a few of the usual brake lights on the northbound side of Rona Road approaching the Beltline ramps. No volume-related problems downtown around the Capitol Square and UW campus. I would look for things to pick up over the next hour or so. Other main routes heading into Madison, they're moving along at the usual speeds right now with no crashes or delays. Your First Alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
All right, Josh, thank you so much, and thank you, Hattie. Your time right now is 6:15, and Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in this country, and the number of diagnoses is expected to more than double in the decades to come.
And this disease doesn't just affect the patient. News 3 is a proud sponsor of the Walk to End Alzheimer's happening this Sunday. Carrie Patterson is here from the Alzheimer's Association of South Central Wisconsin, and Steph O'Keefe is joining us to talk about what it's like to be a caregiver. First of all, thank you so much for waking up early and joining us.
Thank you. Happy to be here. We're just getting ready for Sunday, so this is good practice.
There you go. Steph, let's start with you. I know your story is not unique to families dealing with Alzheimer's. Tell us a little bit about your mom.
Sure. My mom, Kay, is 64 years old now, and she was diagnosed with a very rare form of younger onset Alzheimer's when she was about 58. So we're about 5.5 years in now, and it was very important for us to keep her at home as long as possible. So my husband and I have a 2-year-old, and we have moved in with my folks now, and all of us are banded together to care for her and take care of her at her end of life.
Did you ever imagine having to make a decision like that?
Never. You know, it's funny, I always joked with my mom that when I had kids, she was going to nanny for me so that I could work. And she was never able to do that, but in, you know, kind of on the flip end of that, because of her illness, I am able to stay at home and care for my son myself alongside of her and take care of the two of them together, which is this really interesting juxtaposition of love and joy and sadness all together. It's very unique, but it's a special journey.
Carrie, let's talk a little bit about the Alzheimer's Association. What does it offer to families like Steph's?
Yeah, so we offer care consultations to families who have questions about their journey. We do public education and family caregiver workshops. We have several actually happening this month. So we provide in-depth training to family caregivers about early warning signs, disease progression, what they can do as families to actually nurture and care for their loved one as long as they would like to. We offer legal and financial planning assistance. We also do advocacy work to hopefully find an end to Alzheimer's disease through research and different policy efforts. So we take kind of a full scope approach to helping the families.
And we can't ignore that this is a growing problem. More and more people, you guys are having to reach out and help.
Yeah, I was sharing that our services have grown and been used by over about 30% of what we did last year. So more and more families in the community are reaching out, and we'd love for more people to get involved with our walk. That's our biggest way that we provide these free services.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about this event. Registration's still open.
Still open, so it closes Saturday morning, but you can still walk in Sunday morning. So we have Walk to End Alzheimer's. We're hoping for over 1,000 people at Memorial High School on Sunday, October 7th. It's our biggest way that we can share that you aren't alone in this fight. We want to take the stigma away from Alzheimer's disease and allow families to reach out and get help through our services. So Walk is a great way that we celebrate and honor families who have lost someone, who are currently caregiving. And the white flower stands for our first survivor, because Alzheimer's has no prevention, cure, or treatment.
Yeah, definitely. We want to make sure people do know when this is all happening. I know you just mentioned it, Carrie. And while we show this graphic, very quickly, Steph, any words of wisdom or advice for people that might get this horrible news one day?
I do want to encourage people to reach out to the Alzheimer's Association because they have become friends to us. They have become a new family to us, and this event is a way for you to take something that's devastating and make it a celebration, because you don't feel alone anymore when you show up and see 1,000 people going through what you're going through. It makes you feel like I can do this now because I'm not alone.
Yeah. Some great words of advice there. Reminder, this walk is still open. Registration is still open. If you can't go, you can donate. And our very own Eric Franke is going to be emceeing the event, so you'll see some of us there.
Great.
Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us this
Thank
morning.
you.
6:19 right now, and a tropical system is about to dump water on some of the driest areas in this country, and somehow that could bring even more moisture to us here, hundreds of miles away. Chris is in to talk more about Rosa after the break.
No tropical storms to worry about in southern Wisconsin today, but rain is a possibility later on. Hattie's going to let us know if the kids need to grab the rain jacket on the way out when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. We are starting with a little bit of fog this morning. Here's a live look from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville. A little tough to see some things there. Still dark outside as well. That's not helping. Visibility is less than 2 miles in Platteville as well as the Dells this morning. The fog is not very widespread though. Here's a look at satellite and radar maps. What is widespread is the cloud cover. It covers all of southern Wisconsin, and we're likely to be stuck with those clouds through most of today. Your bus stop weather forecast is technically a little bit warmer than it was yesterday, but not much. Highs will only be in the low 60s with cloudy skies through a good part of the day. A little bit of clearing possible late today, but warmer tomorrow. We have a brief warm up with highs near 80 on Wednesday. Have a wonderful day.
All right, thanks so much, Hattie. Parts of the country are going to be dealing with tropical rains and the threat of flash flooding over the next few days, but it's not the East Coast or the Gulf.
It is from Tropical Depression Rosa, and it's making its way through some desert climates and dry conditions. Meteorologist Chris Reese is following that storm and its impact on weather here in Wisconsin. Yes, all the way up here, right, Chris?
That's right. This right here that you're looking at, the slug of moisture over Arizona, that is now Tropical Depression Rosa. She came out of the eastern or western Pacific, rather, and will enter into Arizona still as a tropical depression before it weakens. But here's what then happens with that moisture. This big dip, if you will, in the jet stream, that is known as a trough. And that trough is going to be picking up the moisture from Rosa and then steering that right into the upper Midwest. Let's go ahead and show you just that flow of moisture. Here's the hot spot associated with Rosa. Watch how that just translates across the desert Southwest and then into the upper Midwest by the time we get you towards Wednesday night. That's when we're going to see more and more of those rain chances coming into the picture. Here's the center of circulation, which initially will actually begin to fall apart over the Rockies, but it's going to get absorbed by a new low that's forming over the high plains with the polar jet stream kind of merging with that subtropical jet stream there. And here we have the heavy rain coming back into the picture once we get you into Wednesday morning. And then towards Wednesday night, we will see more and more of those rain chances. But watch this. That flow from the southwest still stays in play, tapping into some Pacific moisture. At the same time, we have what's known as the Bermuda high. That'll shift off to the south and east just a little bit. So by the time we get you into Friday and Saturday, check that out. We'll have a flow of moisture coming from the Pacific, along with the flow of moisture coming from the Gulf of Mexico. So that means we're going to have to watch for the potential of not just rain, but heavy rain by the time we get you towards the weekend. I've been looking at some of the models, and as we go between Wednesday and Friday, there's the potential for an additional 2 to 3 inches of rain on top of what we've already seen. So it's been the wettest start to October ever. So far, we set a new record yesterday, but we'll have more rain chances on top of what's already a wet fall.
And we will continue to keep track of that, of course.
Yes, we will.
All right. Thank you, Chris, I think.
My pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. 6:26 your time now. There is an effort to get kids to look out for each other in one Dane County community after multiple suicides there. We'll have an update after the break.
And it's a good reminder that you don't have to wait until Election Day to cast your vote. We will tell you where Madison Alders are officially dubbing as in-person absentee sites when News 3 This Morning returns.
Make our schools safer. That's the message from parents after 2 shooting incidents in a week near a Madison high school.
The 52nd annual World Dairy Expo kicks off this morning at the Alliant Energy Center. I'm Josh Brutter live with just how much of an impact this expo has on the local economy.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 This Morning. It is 6:30 now on this Tuesday, October 2nd, and we are waiting to see how many more cow puns Josh can think of. He's clearly having fun at the World Dairy Expo.
Just a little bit. He's no longer in the Wild Wild West, though. He had that great setup behind him. Now he's a little more business. And I tell you what, this weather, a bit of the Wild Wild West here. We're going to be really warm tomorrow. But before that, Hattie has another mild day. Good morning, Hads.
Good morning. Yeah, moving right along to weather this morning. Yeah, I'll be here all day. We have temperatures that are in the 50s this morning. We've been alternating between mist and drizzle here in the backyard. Sometimes I need the umbrella, sometimes not. Looks like it's let up just a little bit for the time being. Good news today, we are going to dry things out for all the visitors with World Dairy Expo. Things are going to dry out today. This drizzle and fog that we have this morning will lift, but we will be sticking with clouds through most of the day. Here's a look at current visibility. It's about 1.25 miles in the Dells, less than 2 miles in Platteville, about 8 miles though here in Madison. So fog's not a huge issue here in the capital city. We do have a lot of clouds lingering in the area this morning, moving through pretty quickly, but plenty of cloud cover off to the west. And we don't expect any clearing until much later today. Now, our temperatures are going to be a little bit warmer than yesterday, but only low 60s later on this afternoon. Winds will stay light. Looking at our traffic maps this morning, we'll see if anything has changed on the roads. Still pretty low volume, so no backups on the Beltline or in the downtown areas. A little slower on Verona Road as you approach the Beltline, though. You'll see a few brake lights there. Speeds down to 35 miles an hour. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right, thanks so much, Hattie. 6:31 your time now. A young man and a teenager are both expected in court tomorrow afternoon when prosecutors are expected to officially charge them in connection with a shooting near La Follette High School. A judge set $50,000 cash bonds for both 21-year-old Dwan Briggs and 17-year-old Jamie Hayes. As of this morning, no charges have been filed against them, but they were arrested after a shooting last Wednesday morning that left one teen injured and put La Follette High and Senate Middle School on lockdown. La Follette might be getting some safety upgrades before other schools in the district due to ongoing concerns from parents and community members after that shooting. Principal Sean Storch made that announcement at a community meeting last night with the Glendale Neighborhood Association. It's in response to 2 gun-related incidents near their neighborhood in the span of just a week. Police said they're still trying to find the gun and its owner from one of those shootings. Principal Storch said the students involved will be welcomed back to school with the hopes that they can move forward from their mistakes.
The Mount Horeb School District is taking time to talk about mental health. Starting today, middle and high schoolers from that community will hear from a self-described survivor and stigma crusher, encouraging students to speak up when they need help and to reach out to friends who might be dealing with a mental health crisis. Over the last year, at least 2 graduates have died by suicide in Mount Horeb. That community's police department is still investigating the death of a 10-year-old as a possible suicide as well. The high school principal says following those losses, it is important to acknowledge how people are feeling and continue education efforts to reverse damaging stigmas about mental health.
Back in Madison, UW students will have an opportunity to take a quick study break and register to vote on campus later today. Volunteers will be at 3 of the libraries on campus from 4 until 8, today, tomorrow, and Thursday. Students will need their Wisconsin driver's license or the last 4 digits of their social security number to register. They can vote from either their home address or their address near campus. Now tonight, the Common Council is set to approve absentee voting locations ahead of November's midterm elections. There are 16 different spots to vote early, including a number of libraries in the city, multiple locations on campus and on the Edgewood College campus, as well as the city clerk's office downtown. You can cast in-person absentee ballots at any of those locations through early November. The city expects to spend $45,000 on hourly workers in the next month or so leading up to Election Day. 6:34 your time now. Farmers at the World Dairy Expo are breathing a sigh of relief over news of a new trade deal with Mexico and Canada. Some say it could even help save their families.
Yeah, that deal is just one of the many topics of conversation that are bound to come up at the Alliant Energy Center this week as tens of thousands of people attend the World Dairy Expo. Big crowds again expected this year, and that's where we find Josh Spreiter live for us this morning with more on this week's happenings. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. We've hoofed it on over to the trade show now, and it's pretty quiet in here this morning. But like you said, 70,000 people are expected here at the Expo this week. And this isn't just affecting the dairy industry, but also the local economy. I'm told many restaurants and hotels in the area are booked solid this week. And officials predict around $30 million to be spent in the local economy for this Expo as well. You can expect this year's World Dairy Expo to include informational seminars on key issues for dairy farmers out there right now, including low milk prices, which have put a financial strain on many Wisconsin farms. There will also be competitions outside the cattle and trade shows, along with many social and business opportunities. This year's theme is New Frontier, as organizers hope to get younger generation interested in farming and push the industry forward.
We really need to be planning and setting the stage for the next 10 years in this dairy industry. And really our goal as show hosts is to provide a hospitable, welcoming, customer service mindset at every step of the way with every interaction that we have with our attendees.
Tickets to the World Dairy Expo are $12 a day or $35 for the week. And you don't have to worry about that commute or parking as well. They actually have free shuttles going to and from the Alliant Energy Center to several downtown hotels. For more information, we'll steer you on to our website. Lee and Danica, hopefully you didn't stay up past your bedtime, because there's a lot of stuff here to put you in a good mood out here today. Pretty amusing stuff. I think that's it. That's all I can do.
See, I was keeping track. I was counting. I think he just doubled. It's got to be close to a dozen at this point.
I got nothing.
We're done. All right. Josh Spreiter reporting. We're done with you, Josh. See you later.
6:36 right now. Some kids in our area will have some serious bragging rights later today after some coaching from the Green and Gold.
The Packers are hosting a youth football outreach camp over at Kaganza Elementary in Stoughton. Former Packer Tony Fisher is going to lead 2 different sessions for around 300 students there. This is part of the NFL's Play 60 program. It's aimed at tackling childhood obesity by getting kids moving. The event starts just after 11 this morning.
All right, flooding concerns do continue this morning. Unfortunately, a number of roads west of Dane County are closed and covered in water. We will have an update in the morning sprint.
And new stats out this morning show less than half of Wisconsin kids are testing proficient or higher in important school subjects. Stay with us. News 3 This Morning is back after the break.
Welcome back. It is 20 to 7 on this Tuesday morning, and we always ask you to share your morning with us. Jim shared this one on Facebook. It's his morning walk at Two Rivers. Just a gorgeous look there, and it almost is deceiving. It almost doesn't look like a river. It reminds me a lot of Door County, like a Lake Superior, Lake Michigan situation.
Boy, I was going to say a Survivor episode right
or
there.
That. Hopefully he wasn't living in that little makeshift shack right there.
Little vacation trip. There you go. Thanks for sharing, Jim. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it on the Channel 3000 Facebook page or on Twitter and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning. Danica and I share our favorites right here on the program. And just like that, we are now over 3,000 coats for our Coats for Kids campaign this morning. We want to take a minute and thank everyone who checked out their closet for any winter coats, hats, or mittens you don't wear anymore. You can still drop them off if you haven't yet at any Klinky Cleaners or Lucier Family YMCA through Saturday. If you're interested in donating your time instead to make sure kids in our area are warm this winter, the Community Action Coalition is looking for volunteers to sort and hang all of those coats.
6:41 right now. New this morning, less than half of Wisconsin students are scoring at least on a proficient level in fundamental subjects. Nearly 5,000 students took standardized tests between March and May of 2018. Students grades 3 to 8 took the Forward exam, which replaced the old Badger exam. And those results from those tests show that only about 40% of students are proficient or advanced in English, math, and science. Math and science scores were slightly better compared to last year. However, there are still significant disparities between racial, ethnic, and income groups. So you might be waking up to a little fog or drizzle spitting at you this morning, but after that, things should just be cloudy. I know Hattie described it as damp. That was the perfect description. We could catch a glimpse of the sky, maybe, before it's covered up again by rain chances overnight. Hattie has a full look at your forecast coming up after the break.
But first, if you have a little kiddo turning 3 soon, send their picture in and maybe a piece of cake with it, and we'll show them on TV. Thanks for watching News 3 This Morning.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Well, congratulations, you made it through a very wet Monday and a very wet start to October. We set a new record for rain totals yesterday, 2.05 inches officially at the airport from midnight to midnight. That breaks the old record, smashes it, 1.53. That was set way back in 1926. So a very wet start to October. Unfortunately, that wet weather pattern will continue. We were not alone here in Madison with that high rain total. You can see the purples and reds and a band extending all across southern Wisconsin. That's the 2 to 3 inch rain totals, and it was very steady through the day yesterday. Now, Doppler track this morning is rather quiet. That's the good news. What's not showing up on this radar map, though, is a little bit of drizzle, and you may run into that this morning. Future track showing you that the front responsible for all that rain yesterday has moved off to the south and east. We may see a little bit of clearing taking place late today, but note the time on the map, 6 p.m. That's not too far in front of the sunset, so it'll be a race to see if we can clear out any of those clouds before the sun really gets too low in the sky. But a relatively quiet day for us today. South winds kick in tomorrow, and that heats things up around southern Wisconsin. Most of the rain chances through the day tomorrow will likely be to the north. Our best chances come along that cold front as it moves through late Wednesday. And we'll bump temperatures back down after that. Overall, though, the wet weather pattern is expected to continue. Here is a forecast model. Precipitation for the next week. This is next Tuesday afternoon. You can see rain totals in the 1 to 3 inch range again across the Badger State. Now keep in mind this is over a week, but still just giving you an idea of how much moisture we are expecting over the next week. Pretty cloudy in Platteville this morning. There has been a little bit of fog there. Visibility is still less than 2 miles, about 1.75 miles as well in the Dells. Other than that, fog is not a widespread issue this morning. Temperatures are right around 50 degrees. And it will be a little bit warmer than it was yesterday. 60 in Fort Atkinson as well as Watertown. Again, cloudy skies though through most of the afternoon. To the west, we're looking at temperatures right around 60, 61 in Muscoda and Mineral Point. Fenimore and Prairie du Chien though not topping in the 60s today. Even Mauston, Montello and Adams still hitting highs only in the upper 50s this afternoon. Now look at our forecast here in Madison. We're looking at high temperatures right around 62 today. Yesterday we were only in the mid-50s, so it's a little bit better than it was yesterday. Drier as well. Wednesday will be a warm one with highs near 80. It will be very windy, but we're back down into the low 60s right away again on Thursday. And there's that unsettled weather pattern to the weekend. Winston and Bell and Stoughton, they're on the dock.
Look at Belle's
face. It's a little chilly to swim today, but
yeah, Belle's not into it. She is like, get away from me.
Or cheesing.
Or cheesing.
Smile.
One of the two. You're right. You're right.
That's true.
Depends on your perspective.
Best buds.
Thanks, Eddie.
You're welcome.
Morning Sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 This Morning. 6:51 time now for the morning sprint. Hattie says we should stay dry today, but the clouds will probably stick around.
And Josh Sprider is live at the World Dairy Expo, where farmers are sharing tips to help others struggling in the industry. But we start on Madison's east side. That's where police are continuing their investigation into a murder-suicide over the weekend. Police say they believe 39-year-old James Sykes shot and killed 34-year-old Sherry Waller before turning the gun on himself. Sykes had previous domestic abuse convictions and wasn't legally allowed to buy a gun. Family members are talking about Sherry's story in hopes of saving the next abuse victim. Her family says she was the mother of 5 kids. 2 of them were home at the time of that shooting.
The principal at La Follette High School says there could soon be safety upgrades there following a shooting near that school last week. Administrators, alders, and police officers met with parents and neighbors living around La Follette last night. Within a week of that teenager being shot near the high school, another teen fired a gun on a city bus, putting 2 schools on lockdown. 2 of the 3 people arrested in connection to the latest shooting are set to be charged tomorrow afternoon.
I'm Josh Butter, live at the Alliant Energy Center, where the World Dairy Expo is back once again starting today. The World Dairy Expo is where the dairy industry meets worldwide. This year, they're expecting crowds of around 70,000 people from 100 different countries. Around $30 million is predicted to be spent in Madison this week alone, so officials say business is thriving. The expo is designed for dairy producers and industry partners to see a showcase of elite dairy cattle, cutting-edge research, and modern technologies. There is a free shuttle service running to and from the Alliant Energy Center and numerous downtown hotels this week as well. Tickets are $12 per day or $35 for the week. We have everything you need to know on the Channel 3000 mobile app.
Thank you, Josh. The Brewers are waiting to see who they'll face in the playoffs as your new National League Central Division champs this morning. They won over the Cubs in yesterday's tiebreaker, 3-1 at Wrigley Field. Christian Yelich had 3 hits in the game. He won the National League batting title there. The Brewers will play the winner of today's wild card game between the Cubs and the Rockies. That best-of-5 series starts Thursday at Miller Park.
And our forecast today definitely starts with clouds across southern Wisconsin. No rain left in the area, but it is a very gray start to the day. Temperatures in the low 50s will slowly climb today, back into the low 60s this afternoon. Winds will stay light. We may see a little clearing late in the day.
Thank you very much, Hattie. There's still a number of back roads closed in Grant County this morning due to flooding. This was the scene on Highway 81 last night, where the Platte River covered the bridge heading in and out of Ellenboro. That road is back open this morning, we're told, but deputies say there could still be flooding issues on a lot of the side streets.
Madison leaders are still dealing with all the flooding we saw back in August. The state has already spent $2 million to help businesses rebuild after this summer's weather. City Council will talk about why the flooding was so severe and what steps it can take to mitigate it in the future. Members tonight will also amend the current budget to make sure there's enough money to cover stormwater and sewage maintenance during that extreme rain.
Lanes of Milwaukee Road and Willowbrook Road on the east side of Beloit will be closed this month so crews can replace broken up concrete there. At least one lane will stay open along both those streets, but anyone driving in the area is asked to pay attention to work zone signs and expect delays.
As Madison deals with a record number of opioid overdose deaths, lawmakers on Capitol Hill are trying to stop fentanyl from getting into the country in the first place. It's becoming more and more common for heroin to be laced by that painkiller, which is up to 100 times more potent than morphine and can be deadly in very small amounts. Today, that group of lawmakers will look at ways to limit the amount of that drug coming in from China.
Governor Walker's opponent in November's election is now officially endorsed by former President Barack Obama. He's announcing his support of State Superintendent Tony Evers, as well as Senator Tammy Baldwin and Randy Bryce, the Democrat running for House Speaker Paul Ryan's congressional seat. Now, President Trump has already endorsed Governor Walker, Baldwin's Republican challenger, State Senator Leah Vukmir, and Bryce's opponent, Brian Stile.
Amazon says it's upping its minimum wage to $15 an hour. More than 350,000 employees should get a raise with the announcement. That includes everyone from full-time employees to temporary seasonal workers. The pay increase amounts to about a $5,000 raise for the average Amazon warehouse worker. Amazon is the country's second largest employer. They're behind only Walmart.
A group of U.S. senators will talk later today about a program to let some kids into national parks for free. The Every Kid Outdoors program applies to 4th graders and their families. This comes as a bipartisan group of lawmakers in the House of Representatives looks to spend more than $5 billion on maintenance for the parks.
There is an effort here in Wisconsin to preserve the wildlife in our lakes and streams for the next decade and more. The state's DNR trout team is meeting this evening to take a look at the first draft of its 10-year trout plan. The goal is to keep the trout population thriving for years to come. It's a big plan, too. Wisconsin has more than 13,000 miles of trout streams. A finalized plan should be finished sometime this winter.
All right, 6:56 right now. We've been watching some fog out there this morning. Let's see how traffic is moving with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Well, it's picking up on the westbound side of the Beltline. Really not fog related, but it's just the usual traffic as everyone heads out for the day. Patches of brake lights showing up near Stoughton Road and then again between Fish Hatchery Road and Seminole Highway. World Dairy Expo creating a little extra volume on John Nolan. Look for slowdowns near Rimrock and Olin Avenue over the next few days. The main routes heading into Madison, they're moving along at the usual speeds right now with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh.
And a look outside from the Edgewater Skycam this morning. Cloudy skies here in Madison and across all of southern Wisconsin. Our forecast today has temperatures that will climb into the low 60s. A little bit of clearing possible late today, but then back to cloudy skies tonight.
A little itty bit of clearing, right?
At least there's no rain today.
I know, exactly. If you want to keep track of the radar for yourself, be sure to download that Channel 3000 First Alert Weather and Traffic app. We'll see you tomorrow.
Making plans that are weather dependent? Get an accurate 12-hour, even a 10-day forecast. Download the Channel 3000 First Alert Weather app and start planning.